Um, I look awful, but I just woke up not too long ago, and I can tell I'm getting a migraine, so I'm a little bit like, I'm gonna go back to bed. But I promised I was gonna do a 50 Shades today. Yay! Okay. I know I said I would do at least up to chapter 6, but what I did not count on was that chapter 5 was actually much longer than I thought it was going to be. So I think I just did chapters 4 and 5 this time, which was pages like 49 through 80, which is actually more than I thought it was going to be. I'm going to do 6 and 7 next week when I get home, because I have a couple of days before I go back to work, so I think that's what I'm going to do. So for those of you who weren't with me, at the end of chapter 3, Anastasia like has a panic attack and like freaking trips into traffic, and Christian Grey, of course, like grabs her and pulls her back, which is crazy because like when I grab people, like I do it all the time to stop my brother from walking the bike lane, I just like grab his shirt and pull him. But when he does it, he like grabs her and she falls into his arms like an embrace. That's not how it happens. Normally I just like yank on people and they're kind of like, oh, and I'm like, cool, you're safe. So anyway, and she's like staring up at him like, I want you to kiss me. And because the one thing in the world Christian Grey is telepathic, he does not, because frustrations. So he doesn't kiss her, and I love this because he closes his eyes and shakes his head as if to answer her silent question. When he opens them again, it's with some new purpose, a steely resolve. Okay. And he whispers, you should steer clear of me. Freaking, I don't want to hear it. And she's like, what? Where's it coming from? What? She's freaking out, like, where is this? This is out of nowhere. No, it's not. It's a cliche, and you know it, sweetie. You knew it was going to happen. And then she starts freaking, and he's all like, breathe, breathe. And she's panicking. And honestly, she thinks to herself, I need to get away from this. And honestly, half the problem of this book could be avoided if she just, like, straight up ran away. Anyway, nothing. This is chapter 4, nothing happens in this chapter. Except that she starts, like, whining. Oh, at the end of this page, on page 51, she's all like, I have never been on the receiving end of rejection. Of course not. And like every, like, pretty girl trope, she was always last one picked for teams and blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, she goes on to complain about how she's too pale, too skinny, too scruffy, uncoordinated, and her long list of faults goes on. And yet, despite this long list, she's also been the one to rebuff any would-be admirers. I mean, are you serious? Are you serious? No one has ever sparked my interest. No one except Christian damn Grey. You're not a normal person. You know what she is? She's like a product of the freaking internet generation. And I've noticed this a lot with people who have these unreally high standards. Because, it's just so easy to share shit these days and be like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do this. High standard, high standard, high standard, high standard, high standard. I blame those crazy YouTube engagement videos. Anyway, because perhaps I just need a good cry. What? Then she gets back and Kate's all like, oh no, it's wrong, you poor baby. You've been crying. She has an exceptional gift for stating the damned obvious. Then she gets all mad, like, what did he do to you? It's like, oh, maybe he just told her I don't want to date you. I mean, is that such a crime? Oh, I forgot. She's the heroine of the story. And Anna's like, oh, I nearly got knocked over by a cyclist. And she goes, no, Christian saved me. Shaved me. Whoops. He did not shave her. He saved her. She whispers. And they're having this problem when they're, like, walking back and forth. And, of course, he's not interested because he's too gloriously good looking. I have a vision of myself as Icarus, flying too close to the sun and crashing and burning as a result. If she would literally just fly too close to the sun, I think I'd be a lot, happier. And then she has this dream. It says, at night I dream of gray eyes and leafy patterns in milk, and I'm running through dark patterns. I'm having a reading thing today. I'm running through dark places with eerie strip lighting. It's not dark if there's strip lighting in there. And I don't know if I'm running towards something or away from it. It's just not clear. It's a dream! I had a dream yesterday that I knew someone who wore a flipper costume. It's a dream. I would love it if somebody I knew surprised me at work wearing a dolphin suit, because that would be freaking hilarious and I'd love it. And then they have a normal moment. They finish their exams and they're going out drinking to celebrate. And I'm kind of like happy for her because, they're 21, go out, fucking celebrate. And when she gets home, Kate's there and she's got a brown paper parcel. That's what it says, in quote. And there's a package for her and there's no sender's address or name, which probably means it's a mail bomb and you should ignore it. But no, she opens it. because it's probably from my folks. Yeah, like, routinely, my parents send me stuff and forget to put the sender's info on there. Friggin' stupid. Anyway, she opens a parcel, and inside is a half-leather box containing 3 seemingly identical old cloth-covered books in mint condition and a plain white card. Old books don't usually come in mint condition because they're old! Anyway, written on one side of the card in black ink is the quote, "Why didn't you tell me there was danger? Why didn't you warn me? Ladies know what to guard against because they read novels that tell them of these tricks," unquote. And it's from Tess of the D'Urbervilles, for anyone who doesn't know that. And I only know this because it tells me in the book. I haven't read Tess in a long time. And he's sent her 3 volumes of Tess. 3! I mean, I don't think I've ever needed 3 copies of the same book. Ever. But anyway, they are first editions. Of course they are. And because they are worth a fortune, she knows exactly who they come from. Of course they come from Christian Grey, because who else in this book can afford them? And Kate even mentioned something to the fact of, I've seen the same, where is it? I've seen these online in worse condition. Here it is. I found one Tess first edition for sale in New York for $14,000, of course, but yours looks in much better condition. They must have cost more. So let's just pretend for a minute that they cost $20,000 a piece. He sent her $60,000 worth of old book just to be like, I'm dangerous. I mean, like, I'm normally on the side of anyone that's not Christian or Anna, but in this case, I'm with Anna being fucking confused as anything, because he's like, stay away from me. Have a $60,000 present! But seriously, stay away. Mixed messages much? Isn't that for girls to do? Like, isn't the stereotype that girls are full of mixed messages? Nuh-uh. Christian Grey totally takes the freaking cake. And Kate even muses, what is he trying to say? Well, clearly, he's already said it. He said, stay away from me. It's a warning. Because I'm a psychopath. I'm a mixed messages psychopath. Happens constantly. Bah. And she says, I'll send them back with an equally baffling quote of some obscure part of the book. She should send him the editor's notes as a quote. Yeah. And she says Kate's loyal and supportive, so basically Kate's the same as a golden retriever. And anyway, they get to the bar, and of course it's loud, and Jose joins them. And he buys a pitcher of margaritas for all of them, so at least there's 3. And she's on her 5th glass already, and I'm kind of wondering exactly how large is the pitcher, because I've seen pitchers before, and they're big, but they're not that big. But anyway, Kate and Anna are going to move to Seattle because Kate's parents have bought her a condo there, and Jose goes, Dios mío. Anyway, she says, you'll be back for my show, and he says, yay, and like, he gives her a hug, and he whispers in a club, which just, it would never work. So basically I'm going to pretend that everything whispered in this club isn't said. And anyway, let me see here. Kate's hanging out with this guy named Levi, and she's wearing a tiny cami, tight jeans, heels, and hair piled high with tendrils hanging down softly. Her usual stunning self. Because I just can't get through the scene if I don't know what Kate wore at the club. I need to know what she wore at the club. Anyway, I'm more in control now. But anyway, she calls Christian Grey, which is stupid. And he answers the phone and goes, Anastasia, and she's like, how did you know it's me? Fucking caller ID. Everyone has caller ID these days. Everyone has caller ID. He knows who you are. He knows his calling. Okay. Ugh. And of course she's totally drunk, and he's like, they're having the stupidest conversation ever. And she tells him, I'm in Portland, which is a long way from Seattle. Then she hangs up on him, which I think is awesome. And then he calls her back. And when she's in the bathroom, which I love, because then she freaks out and like yanks her jeans back up, and I'm just like, he's not staring at you. Maybe he is. And he just says, I'm coming to get you, and she's like, oops. Anyway, she goes outside, and Jose follows her and is like, I like you, I love you, and gives her a kiss. And then you hear behind her, I think the lady said no, and Christian Grey, it's just right there. She talked to him, I think by the timeline. Here's where she hangs up on him, and here is where he shows up down here. And I think in the time it took him to get here, she has pulled up her pants, walked outside, and got kissed by Jose, and somehow he's managed to get there all the way from Seattle. That just doesn't happen. Anyway, Anastasia must be as surprised as I am by the time vortex because she vomits, which I think is awesome. And then Jose goes inside and they start having a chat, and he's scolding her like a child because somebody needs to. They go back inside and let me see. Anything really happens? No, and of course he looks stunning. And for some reason she's thrown up and he gets her water, and then he decides to dance with her because, when someone throws up, the first thing I want to do is dance with them. And Christian's brother Elliot has come with him for some reason, and he and Kate are dancing because of reasons. And then they're leaving, and she faints. I can't believe it took me to do 11 minutes to do that one crazy chapter. Anyway, chapter 5 is slightly more interesting because she wakes up and she's like, where am I? And unlike me, who when I don't recognize where I am, I panic like, oh my god, I'm gonna be murdered. What is going on outside? Anyway, she's like, this looks familiar. I'm in Christian's Grey Suite. Cool. And then she starts thinking, and it reads, fractured memories of the previous night come slowly back to haunt me. The drinking. Oh no, the drinking. The phone call. Oh no, the phone call. The vomiting. Oh no, the vomiting. Jose and then Christian. Oh no! And then she realizes she's only wearing her t-shirt, bra, and panties, which means she's got no socks, no jeans, or shoes on, which means obviously someone's taken them off. And on the side table is a glass of orange juice and 2 Advil tablets. And instead of thinking, ugh, thank God somebody thought of me, she was like, control freak. No, he just knows what a hangover is like. The orange juice tastes divine. It's thirst-questing or refreshing. That's generally what juice does to you, sweetie. I'm just going to let you know. Anyway, he comes in the room. He's been working out, and he's in sweatpants and a sleeveless shirt, and he's sweating because he's working out, and she starts going, like, flipping out because he's like, oh my gosh, he's sweating! The notion does odd things to me. Ew, yeah, I want someone to sweat all over me. That's disgusting. I mean, like, it's different if you're doing something, but I mean, if someone just comes in from working out, you just woke up, the last thing I want them to do is, like, rub themselves on me. I'd be like, yep, go shower, please. But no. And, anyway, he explains to her, it's like, I didn't want to take you back to your house because I didn't want to risk leather upholstery taking you all the way back to your apartment. Which I think is actually pretty intelligent. Anyway, she's freaking out, like, did you undress me? And he's like, well, duh. And she freaks out. She's like, we didn't do anything. And she's all embarrassed and stuff. And freaking computer keeps falling asleep. You're not asleep yet. It's time to do work. And he makes a joke like, yeah, you were passed out and necrophilia is kind of not my thing. I like my women sentient and receptive, which are just 2 words I wouldn't use to, I would just say, I like my women conscious. But whatever. And he's laughing at her, and I'm just like, good, because somebody should laugh at her because she's stupid. But she wants to know, how did you track me down? Because I forgot to mention that. He said he tracked her using her cell phone. That still doesn't explain how the hell he got there. And anyway, he starts, like, chastising her, and he goes, and if I hadn't come to get you, you'd probably be waking up in the photographer's bed, and from what I can remember, you weren't overly enthused about him pressing his suit. I've never heard someone ever say pressing his suit before. I don't even think I know what that means. I mean, like, I can infer, but if someone said, he was pressing his suit to me, I'd be like, frickin', he's ironing his clothes. That's awesome. Anyway, she asks him, what medieval chronicle did you escape from? And he starts smiling, and he calls himself a Dark Knight because of reasons. And he starts yelling at her that he needs to eat something. And then he starts, like, freaking her out. Well, he starts freaking me out. He goes, you're lucky I'm just scolding you because if you were mine, you wouldn't be able to sit down for a week after the stunt you pulled yesterday. You didn't eat, you got drunk, you put yourself at risk. And here's the thing. She's setting him up as, like, a really kind slave master. He punishes, but only if you don't take care of yourself properly. Maybe he's just looking out for your well-being. Freaking, he's like a parent. Oh, and she, at her subconscious, is doing her happy dance in a bright red hula skirt at the thought of being Christian Grey's. My subconscious doesn't dance around in anything. My subconscious behaves itself because it's my subconscious. But anyway, he's, like, grinning at her, and he tells her he's going to go shower. And he smiles at her, and her heartbeat just freaks. And she even says, my medulla oblongata has neglected to fire any synapses to make me breathe. It's a little clinical for almost pillow talk, don't you think? And he, like, puts his thumb on her cheek and across her lower lip like this, like he's, like, painting on her. And he goes, breathe, and she, like, flips, and she's like, I don't understand this reaction. Desire. This is desire. Please. And she's like, what would I do to be his? I'm like, I would do more things for a Klondike bar than I would to be Christian Grey's. But anyway. He sends her $14,000 books and then tracks her like a stalker. And then she says, I feel safe and protected. He cares enough to come rescue me from some mistakenly perceived danger. Or maybe he's a psychopath who has a crazy fixation with you, just like you do with him. Except he has more money. Bah! He's not a dark knight at all, but a white knight in shining, dazzling armor. A classic romantic hero. Sir Gawain, or Sir Lancelot. No! He's a creep. He's like Rasputin from the animated Anastasia, not the real one. Ugh. So anyway, he comes out of the shower, which is like the world's quickest shower. And he's, naked because freaking he get out of the shower. And she's like flailing around the bed. And he's like, if you're looking for your clothes, I sent them to your laundry because they were spattered with vomit, which is disgusting. So she blushes about it. And he's like, oh, bought you clothes. Or there's clean clothes in the bag in the chair. So she goes to take a shower. And this is like a fantasy shower. She's freaking out. Like... She's like, I want Christian Grey, and she starts using his body wash because, of course, he hasn't bought her own body wash, which is totally unthoughtful considering he's thought of everything else. And it's a delicious smell, of course, but it's hilarious because her subconscious has reared her ugly snide head. I thought that she was wearing a red hula skirt. Your subconscious seems to have headmates. But anyway, it's a delicious smell. She rubs it all over herself, fantasizing that it's him. So she's basically fantasizing that he's giving her a shower. And she's like, oh my gosh, it feels so amazing. It's an erotic shower. She's having like a moment. And then he knocks on the door. It's like breakfast. And she's like, my fantasy is interrupted. So she starts rubbing herself with a towel. She's like, this also feels good. She's like, I don't even know. I can't even with this girl. But anyway, of course, she goes to look to find these clothes, and he's got her jeans and Converse, but he also bought a shirt, socks, and underwear, and not just any underwear, exquisitely designed fancy European lingerie, all blue lace and finery. I'm sorry, is Taylor Alice Cullen? Ridiculous. And of course, the clothes fit perfectly, which, they were probably measuring her in her sleep, Sleeping Beauty style. And anyway... he has bought the world's most ludicrous amount of food. It just says the table's laden with food, and because this is a fantasy novel, I'm imagining, a mound of food on this table. And they start having this stupid conversation about tea. Like, yes, thank you, lovely. And he gives her a warning, I'm not a hearts and flowers guy. My tastes are very singular. And she's gnawing on her lip like this, and he goes, I'd like to bite that lip. And she's like, that's the sexiest thing that ever was said to me. I'm panting. Oh my gosh, calm down. So they start freaking out, and he says, I'm not going to touch you, not until I have your written consent. And she says out loud, what does that mean? I think it means he's not going to touch you until he has your written consent. Anyway, he says, I want you to show me tonight. And then he calls someone, Taylor, who also did shopping. He was also Alice Cullen, and goes, I need Charlie Tango. And she's like, what does that mean? I'm like, clearly you've never seen a movie in your life. Anyway, they're having a conversation on the, she goes to brush her teeth, and she uses his toothbrush because it would be like having him in my mouth. I'm trying to speed this up because I don't want to get to 20 minutes. And they get into the elevator, and they're kind of giggly, and for some reason I don't understand about elevators. They're fine and awkward like children, and then the elevator door closes and everyone freaks out, and he's like, ah, and lunges himself at her and pins her against the wall and is furiously kissing her. And then the door opens, and these two businessmen get on. And then they get off a couple floors later, and she looks at him and goes, he looks at her and goes, you brush your teeth, all surprised. And it's well, most people brush their teeth in the morning. And she's like, I use your toothbrush. And then they get out of the elevator, and the only thing he has left to say is, what is it about elevators? I don't know. What is it about this book that's so bad? Anyway, I'm going to do chapter 6 and 7 when I get home, and hopefully I'm going to keep it under 20 minutes. This was a long video. I'm sorry about that. I did not realize I've been sitting in front of here for close to 19 minutes. I think I'll try to keep 2 chapters to under 15 minutes, which is 7 apiece, which is difficult because I normally spend 10 minutes per chapter. But anyway, I'm really sorry about the delay. I've been, in case you're wondering, I'm in Germany, for those of you who didn't know, on a family vacation. And the only reason I'm not out with my family today is because I'm getting that blurry vision I normally get before I get a migraine, so I know it's going to set in soon, and they're going on a hike to the Andachs, which really looks like fun, and I'm sad I couldn't go, but I hope you enjoyed this one. Subscribe to my channel. Thank you to all my new subscribers. I'm over 250. My chapter 2 video has over 20,000 views. Just want to say thank you to everyone. I hope you guys are liking it. Sorry, my allergies are really acting up now that I'm here. I'm going to continue to do this in 2 chapters at a time. Hopefully I can keep each chapter in under 15 minutes. Just thank you for everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for subscribing. And I'll see you all next time.